The sky was darkening as Sergeant Michael Harrison stepped away from the group. Sweat dripped down his face as he cut through the dense Oak Ridge forest. It was the final day of intensive survival training, and his platoon was exhausted after 2 weeks in the rugged Colorado mountains. "Harrison, where the hell do you think you're going?" Lieutenant Briggs's voice echoed through the trees. Michael ignored the call. Something had caught his attention, a faint, almost imperceptible sound, a whimper, not human but filled with pain. Pushing aside low branches, Michael stepped into a small clearing where he found the source of the sound. A young gray wolf was trapped in an illegal snare. Its front left paw was caught in the metal jaws, bleeding heavily. "Hey, buddy. Easy," Michael whispered, approaching cautiously. The wolf bared its teeth but was too weak to resist. Its amber eyes, intelligent and wounded, locked onto Michael with a mix of fear and pleading. "Harrison, what the hell are you?" Lieutenant Briggs entered the clearing, cutting himself off when he saw the scene. "Leave that animal. We're moving out in 15 minutes. "It's an illegal trap, sir. We can't just let him die." "Not our problem. That's nature." "This isn't nature, sir. This is human cruelty," Michael replied, already examining the trap to see how he could release the animal without causing further harm. Briggs sighed, impatient. "5 minutes, Harrison. After that, we're gone. With or without you." As Briggs walked away, Michael moved carefully closer to the wolf. "I'm going to help you, friend. I won't let you die here." With skills honed through years of training, Michael managed to disable the trap mechanism. Freed from the metal's grip, the wolf tried to stand but collapsed again. Its paw was severely injured. "I'm taking you with me," Michael decided, removing his jacket to improvise a stretcher. Surprisingly, the wolf allowed itself to be wrapped in the fabric. Their eyes met for a moment, and Michael felt an inexplicable connection with the wild creature. Back at camp, defying all military regulations, Michael insisted on taking the injured wolf. After a heated exchange with Lieutenant Briggs, he secured permission to bring it to a nearby wildlife shelter before their departure. "That wolf is your responsibility, Harrison. If anything goes wrong, it's on you," Briggs warned. Michael simply nodded, knowing he had made the right choice. 8 years later, Michael, now 35 with graying hair at the temples, was driving his pickup truck along the winding road to the small town of Pine Ridge, less than 50 kilometers from where he had done that training years ago. After 3 missions in the Middle East and a knee injury that ended his active duty, Michael decided it was time for a change. He bought a secluded cabin on the edge of the national forest, seeking peace and silence to heal the invisible wounds of war. "Welcome to Pine Ridge, Mr. Harrison," said Victoria Sanders, a young real estate agent with brown hair and a warm smile. "Your cabin's about 20 minutes from here. It's really isolated, just like you asked." "Perfect," Michael replied, looking over the small town with interest. A quiet place. Exactly what he was looking for. In the first few weeks, Michael settled into a simple routine: long morning walks, afternoon maintenance on the cabin, and silent nights reading or gazing at the stars. But the peace he sought began to unravel with strange nighttime noises. At first, he thought they were just normal forest sounds, but he soon noticed a pattern: heavy trucks passing in the distance always after midnight. Curious, he decided to investigate. On a moonless night, Michael followed the sounds to a clearing a few kilometers from his cabin. Hiding among bushes, he watched men loading massive logs onto unmarked trucks. Ancient trees illegally felled, in a protected area he knew well. The next morning, Michael drove to the local ranger office. "Can I help you?" asked a burly middle-aged man, his badge reading Frank Donovan, head ranger. "Yes. I'd like to report illegal logging in the northern part of the reserve," Michael explained, detailing what he had witnessed. Donovan listened carefully, taking notes. "Thank you for bringing this to our attention, Mr. Harrison. We'll look into it right away." 2 weeks went by with no visible action. The trucks kept coming. The trees kept falling. Michael returned to Donovan's office only to be told that the investigation is ongoing. Frustrated by the lack of results, Michael began gathering evidence himself. For weeks, he documented the illegal operation, photographing trucks, license plates, and faces. Then he noticed something even more disturbing. It wasn't just timber being hauled away. On some nights, smaller crates were loaded. Crates. That moved. Animal trafficking, he muttered to himself, realizing the horrific truth. With enough evidence in hand, Michael submitted a detailed report to state and federal authorities. 3 days later, a team of environmental agents arrived in town. "Mr. Harrison, I'm Special Agent Rebecca Taylor," introduced a woman in a dark blazer with a serious expression. "We need to talk about your report." The federal investigation confirmed Michael's suspicions. A sophisticated illegal logging and wildlife trafficking operation involving powerful local figures. Among the main suspects was Walter Green, owner of the county's largest sawmill and president of the local Chamber of Commerce. As the investigation progressed, Michael began noticing subtle shifts in the townspeople's attitudes. Cold stares at the market, conversations stopping when he walked into the town's only bar, and eventually veiled threats. "You shouldn't be meddling in things that don't concern you, outsider," said a burly man one evening, blocking his way out of the bar. "Pine Ridge has its own rules." Michael stood his ground. Destroying a protected forest and trafficking endangered species aren't rules, they're crimes. As the weeks passed, the evidence mounted against Green and his associates. Michael became the key informant for the federal agents, providing crucial details about routes and schedules of the illegal operations. But then, it happened. On a rainy Tuesday morning, Victoria Sanders found Michael collapsed on his porch, apparently the victim of a heart attack. Despite the efforts of local paramedics, he was pronounced dead at the scene. The news spread through the small town like wildfire. Some mourned sincerely, others exchanged meaningful glances. The sudden death of a healthy 35-year-old man raised questions, but the local doctor quickly ruled it natural causes, and the matter was quietly closed. 3 days later, a small group gathered for Michael's funeral. Agent Taylor was there, quiet and observant. Victoria Sanders wept silently. In just a few months, she and Michael had grown close, perhaps with the potential for something more. "He seemed so full of life," Victoria said to the agent as they stood by the closed casket. "It doesn't make sense. Convenient deaths rarely do," Rebecca replied softly. The funeral was about to begin when something extraordinary happened. A gray-furred wolf with amber eyes emerged from the edge of the forest, slowly making its way toward the cemetery. "Oh my God, it's a wolf," someone whispered among the mourners. A ripple of fear passed through the small group. The animal, however, showed no aggression. With deliberate steps, it approached the casket and sat beside it, like a silent guardian. "I don't believe it," Victoria murmured. "It's the wolf Michael told me about, the one he saved years ago." "Impossible," someone replied. "Wolves don't live that long in the wild, and they certainly wouldn't remember a person." The wolf remained still, its intelligent eyes fixed on the casket. Suddenly, it began scratching at the wood insistently, letting out low, anxious howls. "He's trying to tell us something," Victoria whispered. Agent Taylor, initially skeptical, stepped forward cautiously. The animal's behavior was far too specific to be coincidence. "Open the casket," she finally ordered. Amid protests from the local pastor and horrified looks from the attendees, the casket was opened. A collective gasp echoed through the cemetery. Michael's body was there, but something was wrong. With her forensic experience, Agent Taylor noticed it immediately. "He's breathing, faintly, but he's breathing." Chaos erupted. Paramedics were called and Michael was rushed to the nearest hospital. Tests revealed the presence of a rare toxin in his system, derived from a local plant. It induced a paralyzed state mimicking death, drastically lowering vital signs. 3 days later, Michael opened his eyes in the hospital. Beside him, Victoria held his hand, and at the foot of his bed, Agent Taylor watched with visible relief. "The wolf," were his first words. "He saved your life," Victoria explained. No one knows how he knew, but if it hadn't been for him. Michael tried to smile, though weakness still weighed on him. I saved him once, I guess he returned the favor. In the days that followed, as Michael recovered, the investigation took a devastating turn. Toxicology reports confirmed deliberate poisoning. Agent Taylor's suspicions focused on the local doctor, Dr. James Peterson, a close friend of Walter Green. Peterson falsified the death certificate, Taylor explained during one of her hospital visits. He knew exactly what he was doing. When confronted with the evidence, Peterson broke down and confessed that Green had pressured him. He said it was just to scare Harrison, not kill him. The dose wasn't supposed to be fatal. With Peterson's confession, the feds obtained the warrants needed to arrest Green and his associates. The operation uncovered much more than illegal logging. Seized documents exposed a web of corruption involving public officials at every level, including, to everyone's shock, Chief Forest Ranger Frank Donovan. Donovan was in their pocket from the beginning, Taylor told Michael. He tipped them off about inspections, buried reports, covered up evidence. Meanwhile, the mysterious wolf became a local legend, occasionally seen near the hospital during Michael's recovery. It vanished before anyone could approach. Victoria swore the animal seemed to keep watch, protecting Michael from afar. The night before the preliminary hearing against Green and his co-conspirators, Michael received an unexpected visit in his hospital room. Walter Green, under police escort, had requested a moment to speak with him. "You really don't understand what's at stake here, do you, Harrison?" Green said, his once confident face now hollow and sleepless. "Enlighten me," Michael replied coldly. "It's not just about timber or animals. Pine Ridge was built on secrets. The forest hides things you can't imagine." "What kind of things?" Green smiled cryptically. "Ask your wolf friend, he knows." Before Michael could question further, the guards led Green away. That night, restless, Michael stared out his hospital window at the full moon illuminating the treetops in the distance. And then, as if answering a silent call, he saw the gray wolf at the forest's edge, watching him with those intelligent, amber eyes. The next morning, as Michael prepared to leave the hospital, Agent Taylor burst into the room, her face pale. "Green is dead. He took his own life." "What do you mean?" Michael asked, skeptical. "That's the official version, but he left something for you." Taylor handed him an envelope. It was found in his cell. Inside was a page torn from an old journal, dated 1932, describing a secret scientific expedition into the Oak Ridge Forest. The text referenced unique specimens and advanced cognitive behavior in relation to an isolated population of gray wolves. "What does this mean?" Michael asked. "I'm not entirely sure," Taylor replied. "But the investigation is revealing that Green's operation wasn't just about illegal logging and animal trafficking. There was a hidden lab on his property, fully equipped for advanced genetic analysis." That afternoon, as he was finally discharged from the hospital, Michael found Victoria waiting for him with the car. "Where are we going?" she asked. Michael looked toward the distant forest. "I need to find an old friend." Back at Michael's cabin, as Victoria prepared tea, the doorbell rang. It was Agent Taylor, accompanied by an elderly man who introduced himself as Dr. Alan Morrison, a biologist specializing in animal behavior. "Mr. Harrison, I believe we have much to discuss," Morrison said, placing an old yellowed file on the table. "About wolves, government experiments from the 1930s, and why Walter Green was so obsessed with that particular forest." A chill ran down Michael's spine as he opened the file. The first photo showed a gray wolf with unmistakable amber eyes, dated 1935. "How genetically modified for extended lifespan and intelligence," Morrison explained. "It was a project abandoned after World War II, but the wolves, they survived, and they evolved." The sound of scratching at the back door interrupted the conversation. Victoria went to check and returned, pale. "Michael, you need to see this." On the back porch, sitting patiently, was the gray wolf. Its amber eyes locked with Michael's, radiating an unsettling intensity, as if trying to communicate something important. "What does he want?" Victoria whispered. "I think he wants us to follow him," Michael replied, recognizing the animal's restless behavior. Against Agent Taylor's protests, Michael decided to follow the wolf. With Victoria and Morrison insisting on coming along, the small group ventured into the forest, guided by the mysterious animal. After nearly an hour of walking, they reached an area Michael had never explored. The wolf stopped before a rocky formation that, upon closer inspection, revealed a concealed entrance to a bunker. "My God," Taylor murmured, drawing her weapon. "This isn't on any maps or reports." Cautiously, the group entered the bunker, lighting their path with flashlights. What they found left them speechless. A fully equipped lab with documents, biological samples, and, most disturbingly, cages containing various forest animals. "It's a clandestine research center," Morrison concluded, examining the equipment. "From the sophistication, it's been operational for years." On a still-running computer, they found files detailing not just the illegal logging, but also genetic experiments conducted on captured animals. An unauthorized continuation of the government experiments from the 1930s. Green wasn't just destroying the forest, Michael realized. He was searching for descendants of the original experimental wolves. "Wolves like you," he added, looking at the animal that had led them there. The wolf remained at a distance, vigilant, as if fulfilling a personal mission. The discovery of the lab sealed the case against the remaining conspirators. In the days that followed, federal authorities dismantled the entire criminal network, arresting dozens of individuals, including corrupt officials and scientists who had collaborated with Green. Michael testified in multiple hearings, becoming a key figure in the case. The truth behind his death was revealed. Dr. Peterson had administered the toxin under Green's orders, and the plan had been for Michael to truly die. The dose was calculated to be lethal. They simply hadn't accounted for the extraordinary physical resilience Michael had developed during his years in the army. A week after the case was closed, Michael walked through the forest near his cabin and felt a familiar presence. The gray wolf watched him from a distance. "Thank you," Michael said simply. The animal held his gaze for a moment longer before turning and disappearing into the trees. Michael knew he wouldn't see him again. Their shared mission was complete. That night, while organizing documents from the case to archive them, Michael found an old note in Green's journal, seized during the raids. "The wolves of Oak Ridge are not ordinary animals. They carry a purpose, a consciousness that defies our understanding. They are the true guardians of the forest. And someday, when they find a human ally worthy of their trust, they will reveal secrets that will change everything we think we know about the relationship between humans and nature." Michael closed the journal, feeling the weight of those words. He had become that ally, without ever seeking the role. And now, he carried the responsibility of protecting not just the forest, but also its mysterious guardians. Outside the cabin, hidden in the shadows of night, the gray wolf howled one last time, not a cry of sorrow, but a promise. The forest was safe for now, and its secrets, guarded by an unlikely alliance between a wounded soldier and an ancient protector, would remain where they belonged, deep within the wild heart of Oak Ridge, far from the greedy eyes of men like Walter Green.